Hi friends, today I'm going to be painting this gold shiny kind of metallic-y bulb Christmas ornament, and I thought this would even be pretty framed in maybe several of them in a nice plain little frame. So I don't know if you can see that, but it does have those metallics, those mirror series I've been using that I'm really enjoying, and I seem to be adding to everything. I am also going to be painting on my 100% cotton watercolor paper just for a change. As you know, I love my Artisto, but thought I would paint on this 100% cotton cold pressed paper today. And I'm going to be using my Paul Rubens MeiLiang palette, and this is their larger palette. So it has one row of metallics, which is what I wanted because I want to use this gold, and then I'll follow it up with that mirror series. So the colors we're going to be using today, and then I've also got my two palettes, or I'm sorry, my water wells, one to wash, one to rinse. That's really important. And I think that's it. I'm going to be using my 8 Neptune. As you know, normally I use my Princeton Velvet Touch, but this holds a lot of water and I want to use a lot of water in this painting, so I thought I would use that. The colors I'll be using will be, let's see, let me get a little swatch out here and we'll swatch a few colors. I'm going to be using my yellow ochre, let's get that on the paper here. So I'll be using some of that. I'll also be using in the Paul Rubens MeiLang palette, they call this Royal Gold. I don't typically use it on its own, but I thought it would be pretty over some of the other colors. You could use it on its own, and it's got a very subtle metallic look to it. And then I think for some of the darker, you know, this around the edges to get kind of those shadowy effects, I'll be using a few of the browns here. So I think I will use, let's see, we'll maybe use Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, burned brown, any of those you can use. And I think those will be plenty dark, just to go around the edge of my bulb here. And then of course I'll use my Micron pen for that. Okay, so this would just go, that dark brown will just go around the edge, just to create some shadow around our bulb, and I think we'll be good. Now, as always, we're going to start first with our wet wash, and I'm going to kind of plan my that I have a white spot right here, and so I'll just avoid that a little. Just have it pre-planned. You can pencil it in. I don't like the look of it being penciled in, so I'm not going to do that today, but you can pencil it in if you like, if you just don't think you can keep from filling all that in, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So let's go ahead and go in first with a little bit of that yellow ochre, and we want to use a light value first. So I can test out my values. Oops, got some on my paper already. Here. So that's a little dark. I don't want to go in quite that dark. There we go. So always have a test paper so you can see how dark you're going in. And I'm using, the reason I wanted to use this Neptune brush is because it holds a lot of water. It's very soft. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very, very soft. And I'm using these strokes that are round because, of course, our ornament is round. And some of these white spaces I'm leaving, they're going to be in a semicircle or a half moon. Now I have to work a little bit quickly, so I next want to go in with maybe just a tad bit darker and start dropping in with the side of my brush around some of these areas that I already got in here. And then I might even add some of that metallic in there. And again, doing these half moon type brush strokes because we want to give that illusion of roundness, the shape of the bulb. I'm going to just go in and soften that edge a tiny bit. There we go. And then while it's drying, it's still wet, wash and rinse my brush, and I'm going to switch my brushes now to my 6 Princeton long round because I want this point, and this is where I'm going to go in to that brown I showed you. So just going into my palette here. And with just the lightest touch in the tip of my brush, I'm going to go in and just outline parts of this ornament. Now, as you see, it's bleeding into that paint that I already put in. So I want to wash and tap off my brush. So I've got what you could refer to as a thirsty brush here. And I'm just going to go around like that. And pick up some of that and get rid of kind of that bloom and blossom because I just want it to be like a shadow around my bulb there. And then I'm going to go in at the top here where it might have a little bit of a shadow from this, the little piece at the top there. And let's go ahead and color that in, paint that in. There we go. And picking up a little bit more of that paint. I'm really trying to work in here while this is wet. And I'm just right now, I'm adding in some of more of that gold. I don't want to do too much here. I might just add the tiniest, very light value of that brown that we used. Just a little bit, maybe even mix it with some of the yellow ochre. Very light value, meaning it has a lot of water. And create some kind of shadowy effects here in there. Picking up some of that gold again, or yellow ochre actually. Kind of a light value. There we go. Now I might go back in with some of that dark brown and just touch in one more time. And then I can go back in there with a thirsty brush. So tap off that brush on your paper towel and go in there and just, oops, sorry about that, soften that line. So I don't want to do too much more with that. I'm quite liking that. I might go in with some of that royal gold, a very washy value of that, meaning a lot of water. So about 80% water, 20% pigment, and just tap in a few places like that. I really don't want so much hard edges, so that's why I go in and kind of pick those up and soften some of those edges. So I kind of like that. And this is, we're always going in layers. So as that dried up there, I go in and just add a little bit more, wash, and come in with a damp brush. There we go. And then I might use some of that brown with maybe the tiniest bit of Payne's gray, and just create these little ridges on the side of the little hook jobby up here. I don't know what you call that thing. Like that. And I'm going to kind of let this dry a bit. And then I'm going to go in with some of the metallic on top. So let me take a peek here. It's very light, it's very shiny. And I kind of like that look. I don't want to get too dark. So let's use our Micron pen. And I'm using, I have the whole set, but this is the number 6. And I quite like this Meeden paper. It's got even more of a texture than the Artisto. The Artisto is a fabulous student paper. I've tried them all and I love Artisto. This is just a step up. I might even go as far as to say, because it's 100% cotton, I'd use this instead of my arches, and it's just a tad bit less expensive. That's just me. Okay, I'm warning you all, I am not a calligrapher, so I'm going to do the best I can with this. There we go. I feel like that could even be a little bit thicker, so I have one more Micron pen that's an 8 or a 10. I might go back in and thicken that up a bit, but I'm quite liking the looks of this. I think what I might play with is, and I know you all asked me about this wonderful palette. I have these custom made for me by Miss Ceramics, and I might have a little surprise for you on those, so stay tuned. But I'm going to go into, meanwhile, my MeiLiang paints, Paul Rubens, and just maybe pick up a tiny, this whole row is their metallics. And I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of that and maybe go in and see if it'll create a little bit of a shine. Yes, it does. I just want a tiny bit where you kind of see it and it's like, is that shiny? Yeah, it is. So that's, I don't want it to be too much. So I'm really using this sparingly, just so you get, if you turned the paper, you would see some shimmer. And that's kind of what I want. So there you go. Now you could really do even more colors in here, but I'm going to leave this, I think, just like it is. I might go in with just a tiny bit more of that yellow ochre and add a few more little swipes here and there. But I think I'm really liking how this turned out. Now I could very easily go kind of crazy here, so I want to stop before I do. There we go. Now I'm going to have to soften those lines. Uh-oh, I picked up some purple. There you go. And a little bit out of the line, so look there. I just picked that up with a dry brush. Like that. And maybe one more little go around with that brown that we created. Very watery version of that brown. Just a tiny bit, just to give us the feel of roundness, like that. Yeah. Just the tiniest bit, very light wash of that brown. Now see, that's bleeding a little bit, so I can even go in and pick that up with my towel. There we go. Just the tiniest bit of that brown. I've got a lot of water in it. So I think I want to stop there. I'm kind of liking that. And there you go. I hope you give this a try. It was kind of a fun, easy little Christmas bulb. I think it would be really pretty with maybe 3 of them, and each of them says a different name up here. Just adding some shimmer to that little doohickey up there. Okay, and don't forget to check out, I have some new tutorial kits. They're the companion kits that go with these. I would have loved to have had those from my teacher. They're digital downloads. They're only $5. And of course, I offer you a lot of these free drawings on my website. And in the description, I will list all of my supplies with links. Some of them, the Amazon, are affiliate links. Some of them aren't. And if you have any questions, just give me a note. You can email me as well. And I hope you give this a try. All right, everybody, have fun.